Thanks for stopping by this evening. Tonight I'm actually working on another hand-painted glass idea. Just wanted to give this a try and see how it turns out. And I started out with, and this is, what's it called, the contact paper. Started out with an R that was made from my Silhouette machine. Put that on here and then tapped around it to create the R, which hopefully you can tell that that's what it is. Not sure if I'm really in love with this style, and if I were to sell this I might go ahead and maybe add some more interest to like the stem or something, you know, to make it stand out a little bit more. But I just for tonight wanted to give this a shot and see. I've seen this done on coffee cups. Wasn't too sure how it would work on a clear glass. You know, a lot of times it's a little bit different from one medium to the other. But anyhow, this is what my goal is, so hopefully you can tell that that's what it is. Sometimes I find that it's hard when you're putting contact paper on glass because it doesn't actually go on completely flat. But I just do the best I can going around it. Tonight I'm using Folk Art enamels, the gold metallic paint, the silver metallic, and their wicker white. I kind of find that if you're doing something for weddings, that those are kind of colors that people tend to like. So that's why you're going to see a lot of what I'm doing right now based in those colors. And you know, once again, I do use Folk Art enamels. If you haven't already figured that out. And so if you're somebody that follows me, you will already know that. Now, when I did this first one, I just let it dry for just a tad bit, meaning just probably maybe 10 minutes or so, and then pulled the contact paper off. Typically when you're doing paint, maybe there's cases where this isn't, what I'm going to say isn't the case, but what I'm finding is that you really need to pull, if you're using tape or anything like that, off as soon as possible. If you let it stay on when it dries, it's very possible that the tape will pull off the dried paint. So that's the reason for that. Now, it is a little scary when you've just made a design and you're thinking, oh goodness, I'm going to pull this off. Am I going to ruin it? Well, that's a possibility too. So you just have to be careful, pull away from the item, and I try to move pretty fast with it so it's not lingering and having a chance to mess up the design whenever possible. Meaning that the contact paper or vinyl, whatever it is you're using, isn't having a chance to fall back on the design and ruin it, since your paint may be a little wet still. And this is just simple doing my dreaded, I love polka dots, but still trying to get the gist of doing them so that they don't kill somebody when they, you know, grab a hold of the glass because they're so sharp. I mean, obviously they really wouldn't kill somebody, hopefully, but just saying, just saying. Now with these, more than likely I would not bake them once again because of the variance in the thickness of paint. I just would not want them to bubble up. And that's my biggest concern when I'm painting something, is that it may bubble when it's, and if it's on a pretty thick coat, it may bubble when you are baking it. Definitely, if you're baking your glass, allow it to cure for 1 hour at least before baking. I mean, you can let it cure longer, that's fine, but at least that length of time in order to go by the manufacturer's guidelines. I'm not sure if that will help set the paint more. I'm not really certain why they require that. If that has something to do with giving the paint time to dry so maybe it doesn't bubble. Maybe that's a factor too. I just have found that I'm better off being safe than sorry if I'm creating a design that I think has the likeliness of doing that. I just don't want to put my hard work into it and then find out my design was ruined. Because that's very disappointing too when you pull something out and you've worked so hard on it. Very disappointing. And I have painted a lot of glass. I know I've had some recent questions and people asking me about paints. I truly recommend that if you're going to get into glass painting, you get out there, see what's on the market. I try to stay up with the trends, but I'll be honest with you, with my lifestyle right at the moment, I don't have a whole lot of time to do that. So, you know, there might be products out there now that I'm not familiar with. And I really, you know, have every intention of doing that and following up and being on top of it. But I watch my 6-month-old granddaughter and my 2-year-old grandson. So my hands are pretty busy during the day. I try to sneak a little bit of business in as much as I can whenever I can, but that's not very often because my focus again is on them. And my the 2-year-old has been with me since he was 2 months old, and he's very, very tied to Grandma. The 6-month-old has just recently come to stay with me while her parents are relocating where we live. I mean, they're all living with us. But, yeah, it's crazy. But I enjoy it. I feel so lucky to get to spend this time with them. Hopefully I will have made a difference in their start in life. I'm getting the white's kind of thick for some reason. It's pretty interesting how you get the same paint, but it can come out and have different consistency. You would think it would be pretty much made the same each and every time. But this is really kind of thick. Now again, as you know, I don't press for perfection. That's not me. And, you know, press for something that you're happy with, that you, if you're giving them as gifts, that you feel like it's turned out nicely as a gift. If you're just doing it for fun, ladies' night out, maybe have your friends come over and paint their own drinking glasses for the evening. And I have to be honest with you, one way that I got into glass painting was just by chance. I had friends that were having a margarita party. The idea behind the party was to bring a margarita glass that you would, in exchange, walk home with something different at the end of the evening. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to paint something. I was kind of trying to start my own business anyways, and I thought, you know, that might be interesting. I've, you know, tried painting on every other surface, walls and all that good stuff. Why not? Why not give that a shot? And that's kind of how my interest continued on, and I got into doing a lot of glass painting there for a bit until we came up with the idea of the bridal hangers, and then that took off, and then that's where my interest has been for quite some time. But then that's kind of getting loaded with people doing it, so I'm kind of backing off of that a little bit and doing something again that I love. And that's where I decided to try to teach and make videos, do something that I love to do. Anyhow, here we are. I think it's pretty much full. And you might want to be, you know, like a little interesting as far as coming out here to the side and making some that aren't just so rigid. And if you think that you're kind of heavy-handed on white or gold or the silver, you know, just go back in and go through and add, you know, some more color to it. It's fine. And with this, I would definitely recommend probably just hand washing, especially since I did not bake it. Oh my goodness, I'm sticking it in the wrong colors. I have lost my mind. as I say, don't follow what I'm doing. Do as I say, but not as I do. It might be a little silly, but anyhow, stick a few more up here just to make it not look so obvious. Alright, so once again, here we are. I'll let this dry for a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and pull it off, and I will be done. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you. Share it with your friends, anyone that you think might be interested in my painting style, or don't just do the glass. I do a lot of different things. And I again appreciate you stopping by, and have a good evening until my next video. See you then.